Welcome back. My name is Frank DeMora. I'm the author of the book, The Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. And I am giving you information connecting Bible prophecy with current events. What you're looking at is one of my prophecy sites, BibleProphecyMan.com. Now, when you scroll down, there's the front and the back cover of my book. And just scroll down there, you'll see this link right here. This was my January 6th, 2020 edition, because I'm keeping this book up to date so that anybody who comes will see the timeline that I made when I started to do the book, all the events that have happened since then, bringing us right to current events so that you'll understand how close we are, this special generation that Jesus talked about in Matthew chapter 24. The generation who would see all the things that we're seeing now and that would not pass away until all these things take place. In other words, Jesus Christ assures us that the generation who saw the rebirth of the nation Israel, as read in Matthew chapter 24, will be alive to see the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, for those of you who have been coming to my website, you know that I'm keeping you up to date on what's going on in the Middle East, and especially Iran right now, because Iran is going to be playing a major role in the Ezekiel 38 prophecy. Now, if you don't know what the Ezekiel 38 prophecy is, for those of you who just found my YouTube channel, what I do is I'll provide a map for you, as you see right here. And on this map are the names of the countries that our Lord gives us to warn us that these specific nations are going to be coming together in the latter times, as we read in the book of Ezekiel, to try to wipe out the nation of Israel. And one of those nations just happens to be Persia, which is the Old Testament name for modern day Iran. And in my picture that you see here, you'll see all of the nations, the arrows pointing in the direction that they will be coming from, most from the northern quarters as it's specified in the prophecy. But at least you'll know who they are, Old Testament names and the modern day names. So here we are with Iran, and the events that we're seeing taking place now is the events that are preluding these wars. Now, Ezekiel 38 war, I believe, is going to take place after the Psalm 83 war, that these nations from 1 to 10 are listed. These are the bordering nations around Israel, which you know that Hezbollah, they're in the news a lot. The Hamas is in the news a lot. And these nations have proxy Iranian soldiers in these areas today. And this is a major problem. And this is one of the reasons why President Donald Trump, is trying to put a halt to Iran, because what they're doing is making inroads to get closer to Israel's border in order to attack them. But for now, I'm going to center on Persia or Iran because they are in the news right now. But you needed to understand that Iran is very, very influential in Bible prophecy. And we know that what's going to happen to Iran, along with the rest of these nations who come down against Israel, because when you read the prophecy, you're going to see that it isn't the Israelis who fight this war, that God has set a certain day, a certain time, so that his name will be sanctified. This is what you're going to read in the Old Testament, in that prophecy. And we know that the armies are going to be wiped out. So if you're in any of these areas that are mentioned in Ezekiel 38 and your commanders tell you to go down against Israel, you ought to read Ezekiel chapter 38 before you go down there, because you're going to be destroyed. Now, I know that if you're in these areas, you're probably going to be Muslim and you're not going to be receiving this message too well. But what I'm just doing is showing you what the Bible has to say. And the Bible makes it very clear who's going to be coming down and what's going to be happening to these people as God intervenes in this war. It won't be the Israeli soldiers like the Psalm 83 war. It will be God who defeats the armies. Now, people don't believe that right now, but there's nothing I can do about that. But All I tell the people is believe this. Listen to what I'm saying and just watch the news, because eventually what's going to happen, you'll see this played on the news all over the place. When it happens, then you'll understand that what God wrote to us in Ezekiel 38 and obviously Psalm 83 has been fulfilled. Now, just before I go on, just let me say this. Neither one of these prophecies, as I said before, have not come to fruition yet. They haven't come to pass yet. But the signs of the prophecies being fulfilled are very, very close, and that's why we need to pay close attention. Now let me go over to page 404 from my book. In this section of my book, in my timeline, as the years go by, I'm showing you what these nations are doing, connecting the dots between the Bible prophecy and current events. In this particular article from February the 28th of 2014, obviously you see it right there underlined, from IsraelNationalNews.com, talks about the preparation for an invasion of Israel. Where? In East Jerusalem. Where? On the Temple Mount. And so what the Iranians did, they made a mock Dome of the Rock, and they had preparations preparing their army for a major assault on the Dome of the Rock. In other words, in order to get to the Dome of the Rock, friends, you have to invade Israel, because the Dome of the Rock is in East Jerusalem, which is the heart of Israel. So listen to this report, and then I'm going to come back and bring you now to the current events so that you'll understand how important it is to watch what's going on with Iran. Listen to this.
On February 28, 2014, IsraelNationalNews.com ran the following headline: Iranian official, we are preparing to liberate Jerusalem. The Islamist Basij militia force in Tehran ran a special military exercise Thursday and Friday preparing for an Iranian takeover of Jerusalem. The exercise, entitled March to Al-Makdish Jerusalem, included training in the event of such a takeover, including drills for the protection of cities, assistance and rescue, dealing with social unrest, the protection of sensitive and important military centers, dealing with the invasion and landing of enemy IDF forces from helicopters, and carrying out complicated tactical maneuvers at night. In an official statement, the militia said that the exercise is designed to develop and enhance the capabilities of the Al-Makdish brigades, improve Basij military competence, and foster a self-sacrificing spirit among the terrorists. Tens of thousands participated in the exercise, and terrorists in training flocked to the program from dozens of Basij battalions. The call for Israel to be destroyed in 2014 was carried on into 2015. The FARS's news agency September 2, 2015 headline reads as follows: Commander, Iran continues military enhancement until collapse of Israel. I quote, a senior commander of the Islamic Revolution Guards Corps (IRGC) said Wednesday that Iran will continue boosting its military preparedness until it takes down Israel and sets Palestine free. I hope you can see the handwriting on the wall for Iran. Near the end of 2015, the Jerusalem Post released a report which directly points to the Ezekiel chapter 38 war. There is no doubt the Lord is showing people his warning concerning Iran in the Ezekiel chapter 38 war against Israel has taken one giant step forward. The headline to the J Post reads as follows: in pictures, thousands of Iranian soldiers stage mock siege of Temple Mount. Here's the subtitle: Constructing a plastic replica of the Al-Aqsa Mosque and Dome of the Rock. Iranian media reports tens of thousands of soldiers staged exercises dubbed Towards the Holy City, November 21, 2015.
All right, so when you scroll down, you'll see this mock Dome of the Rock. You'll see the picture that they put up in 2015 of these soldiers getting ready with the drills to go up and make a siege on the Temple Mount. in East Jerusalem. And here is another picture from that Jerusalem Post, November 21st of 2015. So since 2015, Iran has been in the news constantly. And what have they been in the news constantly doing? They've been causing havoc in the Middle East. And since 2015, what have they been saying? The constant threats about the destruction of the nation of Israel. Now, if Ezekiel tells us that Iran's going to be involved in this assault against Israel in the latter days, and you see events like this taking place from Iran, who has been specifically mentioned in that Ezekiel prophecy, why wouldn't you believe the warning that God has given us through current events and His Word, Bible prophecy? Now, I scroll down in my book just below the picture of that fake Dome of the Rock, and you'll see that there was reports September the 18th of 2017. And I show you a report there with the headline, Iran reiterates the threat to destroy Israel is very near future. Now, anybody who's been watching the news in 2019 and now in 2020 understands the threat coming from Iran. It is a very, very dangerous nation who wants to destroy an ally of the United States. Now, this Iranian spiritual leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, wants to cause chaos in order to bring out what he believes is their Muslim Messiah. And they are doing whatever they can to bring on this chaos. And obviously, their proxies in Lebanon, in Syria, in the Gaza Strip, they're doing the work for Iran. And they, as I said earlier, are getting much closer to the borders of Israel, arming all of these proxy nations from Iran to eventually carry out the assault from the Psalm 83, and then that'll turn into the Ezekiel 38 war. But Iran is a major power and a major influence that will be dragged down into this war. All right, so you just saw this article from 2017. Iran reiterates threat to destroy Israel in very near future. That was in 2017. Now, what you need to know was who was in command of the Iranian Quads. What general was actually active in 2017 that was causing much havoc and, as you can see here, threatening the destruction of the nation Israel. Let me show you who it was. You could do your own Google search if you want to, but Qasem Soleimani, the one who was just killed, the general that President Donald Trump took out, was installed. He was in charge of the Iranian Quads, that Republican Guard, in 2017. As a matter of fact, if you see there, it was from 1998 through 2020, January 3rd, to be exact. So the man in 2017 who was forming attacks against the Israelis and threatening the destruction of Israel, just like we see in Ezekiel chapter 38. He played a very, very important role in Bible prophecy. Now he's eliminated, but what he did sets a precedent for what is coming. Let me show you in this article that just came out. There was an article that came out, Understanding Iran's End Times Eschatology, the Mahdi and the Mosque. This is a mosque, and notice that this red flag that has been placed on this mosque, and it is connected to Qasem, the one that was just killed. It says, for the first time ever, a blood red flag is being flown over the famous Qamjaran Mosque in the Iranian holy city of Qom. And as I will explain below, the fact that this mosque is directly associated with the Mahdi makes this symbolic gesture doubly significant. The hoisting of this flag was broadcast on Iranian state television, and it was obviously intended to send a message to Shiites all over the globe. So previously, what was that message? Well, we are being told that according to the Shiite tradition, a red flag represents both blood spilled unjustly and a call for revenge. Red flags in Shiite tradition symbolize both blood spilled unjustly and serve as a call to avenge a person who was slain. Now this part is interesting. It is the first time in history that the Red Qamjaran Mosque in the Iranian city, and comes after warnings of harsh retaliation against the U.S. So I'm going to skip down now and read what I believe is really important in this article. And as I mentioned above, the fact that this flag was raised over this particular mosque is a very big deal. The Jamakaria Mosque is considered to be one of the holiest sites in Shia Islam, and it is also associated with the future reappearance of the Mahdi. In fact, as the flag was being hoisted, there was a direct reference to the Mahdi. As the flag was raised in Qom, the mosque speakers called, "O Allah, hasten your custodian reappearance," a reference to the end times reappearance of the Mahdi. Now, when you go over to my website, you can have a link and you can read the rest of this. But in a nutshell, what it's talking about is the Iranians believe that their Mahdi is coming, and that the Iranians, especially the leaders of Iran, they want to cause this chaos that will bring out the Mahdi, because they know that when he comes, he's going to wipe out anyone who doesn't believe in Islam or doesn't go with their theology. It says, in Iran today, most of the national leaders believe that the 12th Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, was born in Iraq in 869 and never died. Just before Judgment Day, the Mahdi is supposed to reappear along with Jesus during a time of war and chaos. And this is why the Iranian leader wants this chaos, to force out what they believe is this 12th Imam, to bring peace to the world and establish Islam as the ruling faith across the globe. So the Iranian leaders, the spiritual leaders, the general, who now has been replaced, all have the thought about making chaos. And where is the attention of the chaos directed? Israel, just like the prophet tells us in Ezekiel chapter 38, and also what we're reading in Psalm 83 about the people coming against Israel who are in the borders of Israel. So you have all of this information. You saw that in 2017, this general, who is now deceased, was preparing an army to go up into Jerusalem to defeat the Jews, to take away their land and destroy them. You saw that Ayatollah Khamenei is also described as a person who continually calls for the destruction of the nation of Israel. All of this goes hand in hand with Bible prophecy. If you read Ezekiel 38, there's no doubt about it. Those people are mentioned in it. Iranian people, the leaders of Iran, are doing things right now that are setting the path to fulfill the prophecy that Ezekiel gave us so many years ago, in this specific generation who saw the rebirth of the nation Israel. Now just think about this. They went to lengths to build a fake Dome of the Rock to attack it. What does that tell you? The plans of Qasem have been wrecked by President Donald Trump, as he destroyed a man who had plans to go out and destroy a nation of Israel. And left in his wake, the red flag goes up. The spiritual leader, who's really the ruler of Iran, is still calling for the destruction of the nation of Israel. So eventually what you will see is, you remember that fake Dome of the Rock picture, the fake attack on the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem. You're going to see it in the news on just about every single news agency there is when the real attack takes place. Now keep in mind, this Ezekiel chapter 38 attack, the invading army, including Iran, and all these other Muslim nations, they're never going to make it to Jerusalem because God is going to intervene, and it's not going to be good for the attacking army against Israel. In all these other wars, the Israeli IDF has won these wars, but this time the numbers are going to be so great against the nation of Israel, God steps in, and that is going to be one sight to see. He did it before with Egypt when Israel was fleeing the Egyptians, and he stood in there and he wiped out the Egyptians. And if you read Ezekiel chapter 38, you'll see that the end will come very, very fast for all of the enemies that come against Israel in that Ezekiel war. So let's keep on the watch. Let's watch what happens between Iran, because they are significant. And now, for the first time, according to this news article, this red flag is flying in the hopes that the chaos will bring out the Muslim Messiah, the Mahdi. We're definitely getting close to the real coming of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. But you need to know how he is going to come, so you don't get fooled by any false Christ that shows up on the scene. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and come and watch with me as we watch and connect the dots between Bible prophecy and current events. Thank you, and God bless.